Dear friends, this is a very special Shabbat, as it is called Shabbat Shira, the Shabbat of Song, because in this week's Torah portion, Beshalach, the Jewish people crossed the sea, the great miracle of God splitting the sea for the Jews, when they were saved finally from Egyptian slavery and brought to freedom, while the Egyptians who chased them drowned in that very same sea that saved the Jews. The Egyptians drowned in that sea. And in the song that we sing, and we actually say every day in our prayers from this week's Torah portion, it talks about the events that happened at the time when they crossed the sea and some futuristic events as well. And one of the verses that we have here is verse number 17, where it says that God will bring us into the land of Israel, plant us in the land of Israel, and then he will build the Mikdash, the holy temple, Mikdash Hashem, the temple of God, Konenu Yodecha, that your hands have built, have erected. And we are told that this refers to the final temple when Mashiach will come, where both of God's hands have put together a beautiful, everlasting, holy place. And the Rashi commentary tells us that the Torah is telling us not just that God will build a temple, but telling us something about the building of the temple and contrasting it with the creation of the world. Because when God created the world, it says that God used his single hand, one hand, to create the world. But to build the temple, it refers to both of God's hands. So the building of the temple is greater, even though it's a small abode, than the creation of the world and the entire universe. How could that be? Bringing into being this world, ex nihilo, something from nothing, as opposed to building a sanctuary, a building where God's presence will be able to be there. How can it be that this building will be greater? And perhaps there's a very important message to us here. And that is that when God created the world, God did it on his own. There was nothing that existed yet, and God created the world for a purpose, but he did it on his own, one hand. But once God created the world, and he put us Jews in the world, and gave us the Torah, we have become full partners with God in this world. By us living as Jews, doing mitzvot, behaving morally the way we are supposed to, gaining controls of our lives and disciplining ourselves to do what's right and in the right spirit all the time, we then become partners with God in the creation. And ultimately, we become partners in creating an abode for God in this world, making God welcome in this world, where us human beings who seemingly live independently of any God, and like many, unfortunately, actually live independently of God in their minds, but yet we commit ourselves to God, we become his full partners. So by the time we're building the second temple and the third temple that we're talking about here, it's two hands, because we are part of God's project of building the temple, us and God in partnership together. It's complete. And this is very much connected to what happened this week, Wednesday, 71 years ago, when our Rebbe assumed the mantle of leadership of Chabad and World Jury. The Rebbe, upon accepting the leadership, was very clear that we are going to build God's garden. We're going to build God's world. We're going to bring God to every corner of the world, in places where there never was a presence of Jewish life. Torah was never studied, prayer never happened, Shabbos never was celebrated. We're going to bring Jews and Judaism to every one of these places. Jews we don't have to bring, they're there already. But we're going to bring Judaism, and it'll become a source of light And sometimes a Jew comes from even a city like New York or Montreal, will go to a far-flung place where there never was anything Jewish, and they'll be inspired there to come back home and be more Jewish. This was the real partnership, where we are bringing God to where God was so hidden that no one even knew or cared about his existence. We are building this temple together. And the Rebbe included everyone in it. And the Rebbe was actually ahead of his times. Because in 1951, the Rebbe already set up a women's organization for outreach. In a modest way, women reaching out to women, but a women's organization of people going out and reaching out and bringing people closer to Hashem. Way before the feminist movement or any other movements that secular society is so proud of. And this is all following in the vein of the Torah, that after Moshe sang, the women then sang their thanks to Hashem and even outdid the men, because they brought their instruments and they sang and they played, obviously in a modest way. So when we talk about God forming the temple, it's not like creation of the world where God is going to do it for us. We are a part of this happening. And the Rebbe has set us on the track of what Judaism has always demanded, that we be part of making Mashiach happen and making the redemption happen. So just like they sang the song of redemption then, let's hope we'll sing the song of redemption very soon, with the coming of Mashiach in a perfect world that we've all been working so hard towards, and the Jewish people collectively deserve. So may God bless you all. We love you all. We want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And this week in Montreal, candlelighting time, 4:18 p.m.